There's Mary Lou. Hi, Mary Lou.
Hello, Nathaniel.
We see the top of your head.
Okay.
There we go. Only the northern hemisphere is visible.
That's right. Southern Hemisphere's got all water. We don't care.
Yeah.
Hi, Ward.
Hi, Mary Lou.
Maybe we'll give it another minute, see if Gareth pops in here. There's Ken Brockle. Nope. That's-
Happy equinox.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it is.
Tonight, 9 o'clock tonight.
And it's officially fall, right?
And then it's fall and it's going to get really, really cold here. It probably
boy.
already got cold by you, huh?
And not too bad. It's still around like, 60 degrees or so.
They said
Yeah, but
tonight
here
it
in
would go down
Ohio,
to
it was
40.
almost 90.
Ward, what'd you say?
If you look at the gray line map, everything is straight up and down right now.
Aha.
And that reminds me, I'd better call my chimney guy to make sure our chimney is clean so we can start running some fires.
Yeah, that gray line was very interesting today. I worked Australia with my beam pointed north. And on FT8. This is Ken.
Hey, Ken. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? I think last time I gave a whole talk about what we saw in the last solar eclipse QSO party. I think what we should do now is maybe hear from Ward and Gary and figure out what our priorities are for making sure we let the, oh good, Gareth is here. Letting know for getting the word out to the amateur radio community. Hey Gareth, how are you?
Oh, good, thanks. Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Just coming back from lecture.
Oh, that's okay. Gareth, do you know Gary here?
I don't know if I do.
All right, so I'd like you to meet Gary, AF8A. So
Hi, Gary.
Gary's been a longtime contributor to the GRAPE project, and he also has a very healthy interest in amateur radio contesting, and he's a retired engineer, and he's going to be our amateur radio community coordinator.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and so Gareth is my colleague over at NJIT, also an assistant professor, and Gareth is going to be the other science lead on the project.
Excellent. Good afternoon.
Yes. Oh, I should put my call name or call sign on the call name. What's that? Hold on a second. There we go. Yeah. No, it's no. I was listening. I think last week. No, it was 2 weeks ago. We were talking about the need to coordinate with the ham community and communicating. And I'm glad we're having these conversations because I thought it would be a lot simpler than it apparently is, and it's an important job. So I'm glad we got some pros on it. So helping out with it.
And Gareth, do you know Ward?
Oh, of course. Yes, I know Ward.
Yeah, I
Hello
can't
again.
remember if you knew each other or not, but I think you did. And then let's see. And of course, you know Rachel Bodeker, right?
We may have met. I know the name. I know the name
Okay.
for sure, and in a good way.
Okay, yeah.
And then I know Mary Lou. Oh, hi.
Mhm.
Mary Lou and I are practically neighbors. We may as well be.
We ought to meet sometime.
Yeah, we should.
So Rachel's a PhD student on the GRAPE project.
Perfect.
And Ken, who's joining here, he's another person who's responsible for me being here, because before I met Mary Lou, Ken is the person that told me I should become a physics major.
Aha.
Right answer.
So I would have never darkened Mary Lou's door if it weren't for Ken. So, and of
Always
course,
good advice.
we all know, so Gwen Griffiths, of course, is here too from the
Right.
UK.
Hello.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi.
And it looks like David McGaw is coming
David McGaw.
online.
Yeah.
And I don't know Ted very well.
I keep showing up and just trying to learn things. Behind me is the Little Thompson Observatory here in Colorado, and we try to teach folks astronomy here.
Oh, that's right. I got to visit that once a couple years ago. Terry Bullitt had me give a talk there.
Oh, very good. That was before my time. Glad you've seen it.
Yeah, it's really nice. So I'm glad to have you here. And I guess you talk with Terry a bit.
Yes, we're the guys that play with the dishes.
That's great.
You
So
wash the dishes too.
Terry might have some good ideas for us as well. So should let him know what we're doing and what we're up to. Okay, so yeah, why don't we just go ahead and try and get started, maybe from Ward and Gary, what you two think we should do in terms of getting things mobilized from the amateur radio community perspective.
The only thing I started is I've got a list of various amateur radio media. Maybe I just put that up on the screen, start as a discussion point.
That sounds good.
Okay. Let's see. Since this is a new computer, we'll see how this works. Oh boy.
Always a little scary.
Yeah. And, you know, at Apple and all the security and privacy things, so.
Yeah, the first time you go through it with especially those Apple products, you often have to like set extra permissions the first time you hit share and then quit the program and restart and all that other jazz.
Yep. So I've told it, I don't want to record anything. Let's see.
But I think, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so yeah, I just put together a brief list, and like I said, we can just at some point I need to add, you know, deadlines and which ones have been contacted and what have not, and what I've sent and what we've not sent, and that sort of thing. But this is just the beginning, the seeds of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that struck me as I was putting this together, no surprise too, is you know, obviously you got printed media, you've got online, you've got things like podcasts that we can't ignore too. So
Yeah.
there's certainly lots of opportunity to get the word out.
There's a CQ contest email reflector too. And Contest University.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's see. You also need to talk to the ARL's PR director, ARL PR manager, whatever. The contesters newsletter is called the Contest Update.
Yeah, I subscribe. I should know
Just
that. Okay.
Contest,
Yeah,
yeah,
got it.
contest update. And the manager for that is Paul N1 SFE, Solar Flex Emeritus, I guess. Extraordinaire. Solar Flex Extraordinaire.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I'll sell him those phonetics. I need a royalty. I don't know who the new PR manager is.
Now, I guess that's a question is the 2017 rule said that the SEQP was sponsored by HAMSI and the ARRL. Is that still going to be the right verbiage?
That's an excellent question. I'm no longer really involved with the contest program, so you would want to talk to Paul about that, and he'll work it out with his manager, Bart, W9 Japan, who was the previous contest manager. Yeah,
Bert, yeah.
Both of those guys.
I would
And,
certainly be happy to have such an arrangement.
I'm sorry, what, Nathaniel?
I would certainly be happy to have such an arrangement.
I think that would be real good. Co-sponsored, or at least, you know, the imprimatur of the league being on it. And the PR manager should help you get on the ARL's Facebook pages. They have a number of Facebook groups going. Stuff should be in there. And there are a number of really good ham radio video YouTube video channels. So we should talk about that offline perhaps. And I don't know them all. And there's no point in trying to take up time here with that, but lots and lots of video channels.
Mhm.
Got it.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to throw that out there. Both QST and CQ have a pretty long lead time for articles. So I would talk to Becky, W1BXY, right away about whether she's interested in an article. Bravo X-Ray Yankee, sorry. And we could probably work in some other stuff like a ham sci update or something like that. And I don't know, well, Rich Moseson, W2VU is the editor at CQ, and he'll either run it as a feature article or he'll direct you to the right columnist to handle it.
He's also Mary Lou and Gareth's neighbor.
Yes.
Well, it's just the print stuff has such a long lead time.
Yeah. I can tell you have Ham Radio 2.0 on there. I saw Jason at the Tapper DCC this weekend, and he said that he actually wants to participate in the SEQP, and he wants to do some, you know, specials on this. So he's definitely engaged.
Let me find the correct name here. Let's see. Hang on a second. Here we go. Okay. Josh. What is his last name? No one has last names anymore. We just have Josh Nass, N-A-S-S, has a really good and very popular video right now. And I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I don't watch that many videos. One second. But his is the most popular at the moment. Oh, his call sign is Kilowatt India 6, November Alpha Zulu, JOSHNASS, and it's called Ham Radio Crash Course.
Ward, would you suggest when it comes like the league and CQ and stuff, the publications, starting off with a phone call or an email? Because I know emails can kind of sort of get lost.
Email.
Email, okay.
Yeah.
Make a note.
That ought to do it. Pretty much all these people run on email. Although if you can find their direct messaging, they'll respond. But email gives a better record of who agreed to what, when, and blah blah blah.
Okay, well, there's a lot of research I can do using that list. I can take that and like you say, I'll start with the print media first and the other stuff is can wait a while. Now, one of the things that I wanted to, we don't need it immediately, but Nathaniel and I have been trying to get going on the Hamside website to get the rules and stuff updated there, because to me, that's kind of like the single version of the truth for how this whole SEQP thing will work. So that's also high on my list of things to do.
Yeah, I found that model to work very well, where I write something up for the Hamside website, and then when I send it out to other media people, I point them there, and then they all reference that.
Right. Now, going along with that, I mean, it also means we need to decide if there are any, significant rule changes. I mean, the SEQP is fairly unique in that we had two-way QSOs, which everybody knows how to do, but you had the RBN bonus points and whisper bonus points and all that. And if that was valuable last time, by all means, we ought to repeat it.
Mhm.
But that's something that I don't know yet, so.
Yeah. I think this seems like a really good media list, so maybe it's good to start kind of reviewing the rules. Maybe Gary, do you want to walk us through the website as you know it so far? And then we can make some comments on it.
We can either go with the website, or I've got a clip of the rules here.
Okay.
And I've got some questions on the rules, and maybe if we could answer them, it would help me out quite a bit.
Yeah, we can start with that.
Okay, so this is a bit of an eye test. I'm sorry, but I'm learning how to do this. So some things are easy, I'm updating versions and dates. The contest period, I can look into the details on the Eclipse. I can figure that out and draft something up there. I don't believe the objective has changed at all. I mean, this objective should still be.
I think, why don't we start with the contest period, and let's get Gareth in here as well. I think, so last time we did an 8-hour period around the eclipse, and we did not have any sort of a control day. Do we want to operate similarly this time, or do we want to change that?
Well, I think everybody understood quite well the 3 hours before it's supposed to start until 3 hours after it's supposed to end. And that's very simple. It makes a lot of sense, gives us a baseline on each end, and away we go.
Yeah. So you're saying 3 hours. Last time we had 8 hours total. So
Yeah,
you're saying
it was moving, right?
it was moving.
If we're going to use this kind of as a template for other eclipse type events, or known in advance type events, a 3 hours before, 3 hours after, plus the duration of the event is a good way to, it's kind of a good generic period, and that might change
Right.
depending on the event.
Right. And then the 3 hours before and 3 hours after, that kind of serves as a control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's no reason for this one. The annular eclipse is only North America, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because this template could be used anywhere.
Okay, those dates and times are easy for me to look up, so that's where we'll start with that.
Great.
I think that's good. It's easy to remember.
So just to clarify that 3 hours before 3 hours arrives or after a post eclipse, I guess we have to pick a time because the totality is different in different locations. So what was used in 2017? Did you just pick one in the center, or?
No, I think I actually chose 2 hours before and 2 hours after, and I chose it based on first contact in the northwest corner and last contact in the southeast corner.
Okay, that works.
Okay, so that's easy. Arrival in Oregon and departure from Texas.
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay, we're going to move on to the objective. Let me add a carriage return there.
It seems like a reasonable objective to me. It doesn't really specifically give any scientific objective, but it does give, a very practical objective for doing the event. And that might be, maybe that's fine for this.
I think that's, yeah, you keep it generic. The whole point is just to generate observations propagation, and I think that's fine. And yeah, you don't want to get too specific here, because then you're into the rules. So just like, this is a mission statement for the contest, not the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I added this third line in red. I thought was helpful for the objective. You guys can tell me if you disagree, but the fact that we're unique in that we've got 2A QSOs and these other ways to generate one data and 2 points. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any whisper contests?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, this may be the first one. The last time we didn't actually score whisper points, but I
yeah,
think
good. That was one of my questions as I was working through the rules. If we wanted to do that, because I wasn't clear on it, how we did it last time.
well, both whisper and FT8 are particularly valuable. So we really want to encourage any sort of activity that will really generate automatically collected observations.
And then we've got to deal with FT8 as well, which should also generate a lot of data.
Mhm.
So, yeah, do we want to recognize recorded spots of a station calling CQ, for example, on FT8 that are captured somewhere, but not a two-way QSO? I mean, do you want to just give people a point for being spotted?
Well, maybe we should hold that thought till we get down to sections on the points. I just wanted to have a concise objective here. So
Good
this
point.
is okay.
I'd like your opinion on how much one should sort of complicate matters. While you've got whispernet.org there, currently about 1/3 of all global whisper spots are reported by Rob Robinet's Whisper Daemon. So people that are using Kiwi SDRs and Whisper Daemon also report to the whisperdaemon.org database, which has far enhanced data collection because it has all of the variables from the whispered decoder program that don't go into WhisperNet. So for instance, it's got frequency to 0.1 of a hertz. So there's that question. And then there's the question, as I mentioned previously, of FST4W, which now allows estimates of spectral spreading, which might be useful for this experiment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, Gwen. We should keep the objective generic. The original contest was fairly specific about what tools are out there. But to generate observations of propagation by automated and automated receiver networks and specified digital modes should pretty much cover it. And event logs before, during, after the eclipse. And then down in the rules or how to play somewhere, we can start being specific about what networks to actually use and how to use each one.
Sure, and both of those groups that I mentioned have very active groups.io collection of people. And so to promulgate the event to them would be an effective channel.
Yeah, that may not have to go into the rules.
It's just to bear in mind.
Right. There would be perhaps a section somewhere in here, how to use X. You know, are you going to operate CW? Are you going to use FT8? Are you going to use Whisper, FT4W, what, and or FST4? And there would be sort of a little app note for each one.
I'm happy to contribute to those if needed.
That would be very appreciated.
So my goal with this sentence here was for the average amateur who was coming up and reading the rules could understand, okay, I'm gonna make 2A QSOs. Like for me, I've never used Whisper before, and it would be something new I could put together and earn some points and that sort of thing. So I was trying to encourage more people even to use those modes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ARL contest rules now have a summary page called How to Operate, or as sort of an introduction thing. It's just for somebody who wasn't trying to get into the nitty-gritty of the legal legalisms. It's just like, how do I play? And so there might be a summary here that says how to operate. I can help you do that offline.
Okay, let me make a note of that then. Kind of like the quick start page you get with just about everything you buy right nowadays. It's
Exactly.
an 8.5 by 11 instead of reading the manual.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, take a look at the ARL contest rule PDFs, and the first page of all of them is a sort of an operating summary.
Okay. So I guess let's decide, is this helpful or not? If I'm not, I'll just strike it and not worry about it, but. Or maybe we can decide after we finish up through the rules. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, we can edit that. There's some value to having an overview statement, so. Yeah.
Okay. A couple simple things, the station requirements, I try to make them consistent with the leagues and CQ's rules about, generally when you've got a contest station, you have to keep everything within a 500-meter diameter circle, as opposed to what I think the old rule said 1 kilometer apart. So if we're okay with this change.
That's fine with me.
Okay. And I know that, the RBN and other receivers, in fact, there's later on, you said we actually, we can encourage more entries and more points if they're spaced at least 100 kilometers apart. So I wanted, of course, leave the second line alone. That has to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're starting to solidify on the 100-kilometer rule.
The other thing that wasn't so much an issue in 2017, but technology has advanced quite a bit, is remote operation. And I think most contests, or at least there's been a lot of discussions how to handle remote operation. And I believe I copied this out of one of the other contest sets of rules. And because if I want to operate a contest station in Maine, that's fine, as long as that station fits within that 500-meter diameter circle. That should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just, all you have to do is say remote operation is permitted. You've already defined in that first bullet point what the requirements are for the station. And then you would say remote operation is permitted according to station license operator permissions, you basically just say subject to, and that's it.
Okay. All right, so I'll simplify that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think this was part of the remote rules. The call sign must be, as a W, I can't operate a station up in Canada type of thing unless I'm licensed in Canada. If we're not too worried about that, because we're not handing out any big time awards or anything like that, maybe this is just more fluff too.
That's that's covered by complying with all regulations at the transmitting location.
Okay. And I think this, again, this remote receivers rule is part of most contests, but again, in our case, I think that's gonna be way confusing considering all the things we're doing with RBNs and skimmers and all that sort of thing, so.
Well, I think the thing to clarify with that is you don't want someone using a remote receiver to like make a QSO. So like if they're going to make a QSO, you want to know that they've made the QSO at the same location that the receiver is located. The transmitting receiver should be located at the same location, right?
Okay.
Because if we have someone transmitting from point A and they can't hear the DX station at point A, but they can hear it at point B. When they log it from a science perspective, when we're analyzing it, it's going to look like they made that contact. The signal went both, just from point A to point B. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the top band distance challenge, better known as the Stu Perry, allows a remote receiver to be used, but you only can use one. And our concern is that we need to know what the location.
Yes, that's the important thing for us. We need to know. We need to know exactly where the signal was received. So if there's some sort of ambiguity in using a remote receiver that we're going to think that the signal was received in some place that it was not actually received, that's where there's a problem.
I would take a look at the top band distance challenge rules. Let me find out what the website is for that.
Yeah, WA7 BNM will direct me there, so.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. It's it's kkn.net. Anyway, go to the contest calendar, you'll find it. Anyway, we could follow that rule and then say the physical location of both the transmitting and the receiving station must be specified.
That would work.
6-digit grid square.
See, I know in terms of the exchange, yeah, we should know the 6-digit grid square. We haven't gotten to exchange yet, so. Yeah.
I agree with you, Ward. I understand where you're coming from. I think it's going to complicate the submission of the Cabrillo files and stuff. If we're going to have things located thousands of meters apart with different grid squares for transmitters, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
It is more complicated. Welcome to Ham Radio 2.0. Anybody can transmit and receive from anywhere.
True statement. True statement.
I've been pointing out that uncomfortable fact for about 15 years, and people look at you like a golden retriever does when they they really want to be a good dog, but they don't get it. And say, it's here,
Okay. So what I like to do is clean these up and put them on the website so we can review them at a future call anyhow. So this obviously is not the final word on anything.
Yeah, you can put them out as the prototype rules, solicit comments for 30 days, and then we could meet again and wrap it up. And I don't think the rules have to be available in the print magazine. Matter of fact, I wouldn't try that at all. They're not going to publish them. Just give them a location where people can find them.
Okay, I'll know what that note means. Okay. If we can jump down to categories, just one thing I noticed, we had single operator, multi-operator. Nothing was really mentioned about multi-transmitters. I don't know how many K3LR type stations are going to get involved with the SEQP, or if we want to mention multiple transmitters, if that gets carried away.
Well, this is the right problem to have, you know, how many people are gonna or participate. You have single op with the one transmitted signal at any time. Why don't we try to find some rules of existing contests that we'd like and use those? The ARL's definitions of various categories are available at contest.arl.org. So if we're going to ask for ARL sponsorship, we probably should be compatible with that.
Okay, that's a good point. Very good point. So what I was trying to do when I was working on this a few days ago is to try to kind of chunk the rules out into, okay, what do we need for rules for, you know, the run of the mill two-way QSO, bands and modes and exchanges and stuff. Some additional notes from the last party on digital modes. And then if we get into the whisper and that sort of thing, kind of separate those out a little bit for clarity's sake. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, this would be where we'd have a little section on how to participate using X. And then it could get as complicated or as simple as we wanted. But then it would, as more modes come along, then we're not clobbering the rules with unnecessary complications. They can all go down in this little FAQ type area, rationale. I don't know what you want to call it, but guidelines, I guess. Guideline sections.
So the majority, in fact, almost all of this was copied directly off the, this is just from the last party, which I assume worked well. Just got to make sure, I've got to check through and update a few links here and there, but.
Yeah, it'll look a lot like the previous contest, and I think that's good. We'll establish an expectation by people that it's going to look sort of like this whenever there's one of these QSO parties, and I think that'll help people participate.
So are we talking about the exchange now?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I know I had this debate the last time, but I'm not totally a fan of doing the whole 6-character grid square and the real RST for a couple of reasons. We're going to be able to get the real 6-character grid square from the actual log submissions. And for the RST, like even if they try to give a real RST, it's not really going to be scientifically usable. It's better to just, I think it's better to just have more QSOs and let the automated equipment, you know, take care of those sorts of things.
What would you have them send?
Well, just like every other contest, you know, 5x9.
5x9. The control character that means here comes what you need to copy.
Right. It's a start bit.
Yeah. I think actually the real RST adds a bit of coolness factor to this and differentiates it from just being another
Another contest.
Another contest.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, and it's something that people have to copy. And the CW data is, at this
Yeah.
point, it's kind of not all that useful.
Right.
But if we're going to incorporate it, might as well put it in there. As far as the grid square, people do follow the grid field awards, and they're getting used to the idea of sending at least 4-character
Yeah.
grid. And the idea that you send the 6-character grid gives us a little more granularity.
It does.
Nobody's getting a multiplier for it or anything. So
Well, actually, no, don't we have, I thought we do grid multipliers.
we had some. What was the scoring? Oh, 4 characters. Yeah, 4-character grid squares. Right.
Mhm. Maybe we do 6-character grid multipliers.
Okay, if they're going to upload, when they upload their log, if they're going to enter the 6-character grid square of the transmitter and the 6-character grid square of the receiver, if different, then they don't need to send the 6-character grid. They could just send 4, and that's fine.
Well, let me throw a monkey wrench into the separate transmitter and receiver. I mean, if you're a sharp guy, you've got your transmitter and your antenna out in your backyard. But during the contest, since there's so many online receivers, I could theoretically switch around from QSO to QSO with a different receiver each time.
We have to limit it to one remote, one site. Remote operation is permitted, but only one station can be used as defined in the rule.
Okay, if we do that, then yeah, well, you can ask them for a transmitter and receiver grid square for sure.
Yeah, you'd have to specify. That could be built into the log upload process. I'm sure Bruce Horn would, WA7BNM would help us out on that, because it's the same code. And if we make this an ARRL type sponsored event, we'd probably use that same web page. And he will ask for the 6-character grid squares, and he'll put them in the Cabrillo file as a thing called an HQ tag, HQ dash something. And you can see those when you upload your log now, that he takes the information that you enter and makes special tags out of them. So, and then the log checkers have it properly formatted in the same way from everybody, and that makes them happy.
Yeah, I just drew a blank. The name again from 3830 Ward?
Bruce Horn.
Bruce Horn, yep. Okay.
Yeah, WA7 Bravo November Mexico, and his email address is B Horn Bravo Hotel Ocean Radio Network at Hornucopia HORNUCOPIA.com.
Yeah, so he creates the upload widgets, or if you want to, the robots.
Yeah, he did he's done all that plumbing, web plumbing for the ARRL. And so you would find that at contestsplural.arrl.org.
Right, okay. So back to the exchange. Do we want to, this thing about RST versus SNR and stuff kind of confused me, though. I realize FTA is going to give you an SNR, and CW and phone, you're going to get an RST probably. And maybe that was the point behind all this, and I didn't read it closely enough, so.
That was the point.
Yep.
Okay, digital, okay, I see. That's on the digital, was to talk about SNR. Never mind, yeah, that's good. And N1MN, if you switch modes, it'll take care of recording whatever, like we do at Field Day. Okay, got it.
Yeah. The CW data is going to be really, really noisy. CW/phone, because of the continually changing conditions. Nice thing about FT8 is it gloms onto the signal, it grabs a number, and it sticks with that number, and it doesn't mess up. A lot better quality data with a known algorithm.
So I guess
Just my personal comment.
Yeah, the thing is, let's collect the actual, if you want to call them like that, actual RSTs. If the scientists decide to use them or not in the future, I mean, that's true of all the data, right? So.
Well, you know, we could eventually drop CW and phone altogether, but I think that, if I recall correctly, Nathaniel, correct me if I'm wrong here, the idea was just to involve as much of the amateur community as possible, and
Yeah.
we didn't really. FT8 hadn't gone viral yet, and so it was still kind of a new and funny. It smelled funny in 2017, but now it's like universal. So
You got it. It's really interesting. I've been on FTA for a while, and it really is. I've been on 65 also, but FTA is cool.
I think, yeah, the overarching philosophy of this is create an event that hams are really going to be able to have fun with, that can also be used for science.
That counts for a lot.
You know, because a lot of the other proposals we write and the things we do, we try, you know, it's kind of science first, and this is supposed to be a little bit more, you know, okay, let's go be ham radio operators.
Yeah, and people can get on and see the effects for themselves. I think that's important. I don't want to turn this into another frequency measuring test where it becomes finer and finer and finer in pursuit of more, you know, resolution and precision. Let's continue to let people go out there and knock themselves out and have a good time.
Yeah, people want to do the frequency measurement test stuff, they can do like the GRAPE project, or, you know, Steve Serwin might be thinking of doing something, or, you know, there's outlets for that, but that's not what this is.
Right.
The other, if people do want a more practical reason for it, I think doing a really wide scale thing like this, I don't think any other experiment is going to be able to really demonstrate propagation effects on a large scale. Like just actual effects on communications and propagation. I just don't think you're going to be able to get the same sort of understanding of propagation from looking at GRAPE data or whatever. This will really tell us something about kind of large scale, big picture, two-way communications.
Big picture, absolutely. And I think that helps keep the citizen in citizen science. You know, it's sure, some of the data is just going to be too noisy to use, but you know, the bigger the tent, the more likely it is you're going to have people get really interested. Hey, how could I do this better next time? It's going to build a bigger community of people that are interested in the physical aspect of radio, and I think that's radio know-how is a good thing.
I agree.
So hearing all that, it sounds like the exchange information from the last version will copy right over into the next couple.
Sounds good to me.
Great. So I wanted to do a little more detailed information on the digital mode stuff, just kind of to break it out. Again, the text in black was copied right off the 2017 SEQP. So not trying to change anything here, just trying to organize it maybe just slightly differently. But other than an updated reference to the latest version of WSJT, I didn't think a whole lot needed to change here.
So this may be someplace where like Gwen Griffiths might want to jump in and make some comments. Yeah.
would it be worth specifically mentioning FT8 and FT8 and FT4 here, just for people that are clear?
Mhm.
Because yeah, you're right, they've exploded in popularity in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I don't hear people talk too much. You know, I think that's right. Yes.
JT65, I think.
Right, like I don't hear people talking too much about JT65 now,
That's true.
but FT4 and FT8 very popular. Ken, what do you think?
Yeah, I was on JT65 today and it's amazing. There's nobody on there. You'll get a few signals, but FT8, of course, is going like crazy. I had that experience this morning with the vertical gray zone, and I worked a guy in Australia with the beam pointed north, which was really interesting.
So WSJT isn't really a mode, that's more of a software package, so that should probably.
Right.
Yeah, there are other software packages, but I like the WSG. It's good, simple.
I mean, there are the derivatives like JS8 call.
Yeah, and I know JS8 call does have some operating events. It's been a few years since I used it. I'm not sure if the software can create a Cabrillo file or if it goes into an ADIF and then has to be converted and so on and so forth.
I don't know that either, but I guess you've got it in your title of JT type digital modes, so that is inclusive, isn't it, of JS8 call?
Yeah, it was certainly built on FT8 and the engine.
Minor point of order. WSJT is not a mode per se. It's a software suite. It has a bunch of modes in it, but I keep trying to get, people say, well, I use the WSJT mode. No, you don't. Use one of the modes in the WSJT-X package. So it's just the editor and me having a moment here. Thank you.
The other question is, how long do we have to run tonight? Because I've long ago I had a dinner engagement set for later this evening, but I'm not sure what everybody else's time schedule is.
Well, we try to keep these meetings to an hour, so you know, another 5 minutes would be, we should really cut it off at that point and then pick up again next week.
Okay. So are we okay with the digital mode section and the that's slight cleanup? I think you're right, Ward, getting the right names for the modes.
Mhm.
Okay. So this was a section I kind of added. Maybe we'll have to come back to this next week, but I mean, I think there's value in giving bonus points for people setting up whisper transmitters. Like I'm planning on setting one up for 30 meters, you know, for the SEQP. And I don't remember specifically if we gave bonus points for doing that before or not, but I thought there might be value in that, but.
Well, I would encourage people to set up one per band, but remind them that they're limited to one signal per band, and more than one transmitter puts you in the multi-transmitter class. So even if it is a tiny little transmitter.
Is it worth making an exception for that? Because, well, I don't know. Of course, now you're in the station design. If you're transmitting a 40 CW and you got a 40 meter whisper signal, that's kind of tricky. But so
we're not doing a really competitive thing here. It's like we could allow whisper transmissions on all bands that in addition to two-way QSOs. So you could also have, you could be doing FT8 and also Whisper on the same band if you want. But you would even, you could have Whisper transmitters on all of the HF bands, and still enter in a single operator category for FT8, for example, or CW. That sounds like fun.
A point to note on point 5 there on contribution of Whisper data is that, again, Whisper daemon allows estimation of the local noise level on each band. And that could be useful, for instance, to see if there is a change in propagated in noise during the eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's data that the HAMSci data processing team could solicit from, the good quality sites that record local noise.
Should that go in the how to participate using WSPR Whisper section?
Yeah.
Okay. I reached stall speed here real quick. So you're right. I listened to your last two comments. I mean, this is more of a how-to thing than a set of rules. So I probably need to figure out what belongs in here in the rules versus what belongs in the FAQ or the quick start guide. But Gwen, your comment again about, I'm sorry, I missed that. I'd like to get those notes.
That there are a number of Whisper, a subset of Whisper receivers, those using Whisper daemon, that also record local noise, and which might be affected by a reduction in the propagated in noise. And for that data, because you've got sort of in number 5, you've got in red, explain question mark as to what full data means. And I guess my comment was to make sure that full data includes noise as well as the SNR and so on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's not formatted very well, but now I understand that refers to my little note I just typed in as number 7. So I'll figure out how to make this clear. Great, thank you.
Okay.
So it sounds like, Nathaniel, will still have a ham side data processing team, right? I mean, that's what Rachel and others will be working on, I suppose.
Yes, so actually that team is supposed to be led by, we're going to try and put in for funding to hire a PhD student over at NJIT, and they're supposed to lead the data processing for that, for the Solar Eclipse QSO party.
Okay, good. And that's
So
kind of why.
Rachel is the PhD student on the GRAPE project. So
Got
she's
it.
going to be doing that processing. So we're going to request for funding for another team for the SEQP.
Okay, good, thanks. So what I was trying to do with number 2 is to make it clear that, as many of you pointed out, that the Whisper receivers around the world are collecting a lot of data, and individual hams don't have to go to all those sites, download the data, and submit it ad infinitum.
We should also have, in addition to the HAMSci team processing this data, we should have some sort of a challenge where we encourage the general community to process the data and then to come present it at the HAMSci workshop.
For information, what's the relative timing of the Hamsai workshop and the Eclipse?
Well, this is going to be a multi-year process. We always try to have the Hamsai workshop. I think it's in March, the middle of March. So this year I'm planning on having it March 17th and 18th, 2023.
Yeah.
So of course we won't expect to have any real community presentations at March of 2023, but maybe March of 2024. And then of course March of 2025.
Right, right.
Yep.
Okay, good comment. Okay, we're bumping into our 1 hour limit. I've got a lot to digest here. Can I take it away and work on it between now and next week?
Oh my gosh, please.
Okay.
And before you go, I'll make one announcement and then we'll close it up for the day. Thank you very much for this. This looks excellent. So my one announcement is I just heard from one of the NASA program officers, SAS. He was at the Hamsai workshop in March, and he told me about a NASA Space Apps Challenge that features where they're calling specifically for radio enthusiasts. So I put the link in the chat here. And so this is the Space App Challenge. It says calling all radio enthusiasts a challenge. Data from the Amateur Radio International Space Station broadcast and reception systems and networks of ham radio broadcasters. I should tell them to change that from the word broadcast to something else. Can be utilized for applied heliophysics research. Your challenge is to develop an application that uses these data sets to construct and display images of the Earth's ionosphere. So let's see. Objectives. Your challenge is to develop an application that uses information from the amateur radio ISS broadcast and ham radio broadcast to construct and display high temporal and high spatial resolution images of the Earth's atmosphere. How can these images provide vital information for space weather research and forecast applications? Note that this challenge involves the development of computer algorithms to perform data ingestion and version mapping. This process involves converting raw radio propagation information obtained from the ISS and ham radio broadcasters into scientific quantities of atmospheric electron densities. And so I think this is, I don't fully understand how this works, but I think this is going to take place October 1st and 2nd, and you can form teams and apply to this challenge.
Cool.
So, yeah, so check that out.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
I know. So he just sent this to me like an hour ago, and it's, so I mean, it's October 1st and 2nd, but I'm gonna send this off to the league right away, over to their news tips, and I'll send it out to the Hamsai list as well. And we'll go from there. And I might ask Esaias to change the word broadcast to transmission. But yeah.
Wow, nothing like a little lead time.
I know, it's like, holy cow. But there it is. So yeah, we'll try and get it going. It says there are 4 teams. So, all right, well, that's it for now. So thank you very much, Gary, and thanks everyone else. So we'll see you next week.
Yep, thanks for the input. We'll keep her moving.
All right, thanks.
73
73,
all.
everybody.
All right, 73, everybody.
Bye-bye. 73.